The solitary Echo had been dead in space for 6 days, and Dr. Lyra Vess was running out of time. The cascade failure that killed her engines also destroyed thermal regulation, and the small research vessel's interior temperature was approaching Celsius. For a Therayan whose species evolved on a world that never dropped below 15 degrees, this was a death sentence executed slowly. Lyra had burned through emergency heat packs days ago. She'd exhausted backup power trying to maintain warmth. Now she huddled in the smallest compartment she could seal, wrapped in every piece of fabric on the ship, and watched her breath form clouds in air that grew colder by the hour. Her long Therayan ears had gone numb. Her fingers barely responded. She'd stopped shivering, a bad sign indicating advanced hypothermia. Her distress beacon was active, but this far from established roots, the chances of anyone detecting it in time were minimal. Lyra had made peace with dying. Her research on cosmic radiation was important, but none of that mattered when you were freezing to death light years from help. She thought about her family on Thera Prime, about the experiments she'd never complete, about the silence of space that would be her final companion. Then her proximity sensors pinged. A ship, small signature, solo pilot or modest freighter, not a rescue vessel but something, someone. Lyra tried to respond to activate communication, but her hands wouldn't cooperate. She managed to trigger the emergency dock request, an automated system, and then could only wait. The docking clamps engaged with a shudder. Footsteps approached. A voice called out in human standard, "Hello, anyone alive in here? I'm responding to your distress beacon. My name's Alex Chen. I'm coming in." The compartment door opened, revealing a human in a thermal flight suit, breath forming clouds in the freezing air. He took one look at Lyra's condition and immediately started moving, not with panic but with focused efficiency. "Okay, you're alive, that's good, let's keep you that way." Alex Chen had been running a supply route to the outer stations when he picked up the distress beacon, weak, intermittent, barely registering. Most pilots would have logged it with authorities and continued their route. Alex had lost his sister to a ship failure 3 years ago, her beacon unanswered until too late. He didn't leave distress signals unanswered anymore. The solitary Echo was worse than he expected. No power, no heat. The Therayan scientist inside was maybe an hour from dying of exposure. Alex made rapid calculations. His ship, the Wandering Star, had power and heat but limited supplies for 2 people. The solitary Echo was too damaged to tow. The nearest station was 8 days away at best speed. He couldn't leave her here. She'd be dead within hours. So he carried her to his ship. Lyra was barely conscious, her long ears limp and unresponsive, her core temperature dangerously low. Alex got her into the Wandering Star's small crew quarters and started warming her carefully, not too fast, using thermal blankets and regulated heat. He knew rapid rewarming could be fatal. As Lyra's condition stabilized, Alex explained, he was a cargo hauler, not a rescue vessel. His ship had limited resources, power, food, water, all rationed for 1 person. With 2, he'd need to conserve everything. The heat couldn't run at full capacity constantly. They'd need to share the crew quarters, the only space small enough to heat efficiently with reduced power. Lyra, still foggy from hypothermia, understood the implications. Close quarters, shared resources, trust between strangers. She nodded weakly. "Thank you for stopping, for not leaving me." Alex's smile was tired but genuine. "I don't leave people to die in the dark. Bad habit of mine." Over the first day, as Lyra recovered and Alex explained their situation, they began the awkward dance of strangers forced into intimacy by survival. The crew quarters were small, designed for 1 person. When Alex ran the heat, it was comfortable. When he didn't, to conserve power, the temperature dropped quickly. They'd need to share body heat during conservation cycles. Practical. Necessary. Deeply uncomfortable for 2 people who met hours ago. The journey to the nearest station became a strange interlude of enforced proximity and growing understanding. Alex ran heat in cycles, 3 hours on, 3 hours conserving. During conservation periods, they huddled together under thermal blankets, sharing body heat because it was the most efficient way to maintain survivable temperature. At first, it was awkward and clinical. Lyra apologized constantly for being a burden, for requiring resources Alex hadn't planned to share. Alex, with the patience of someone who'd spent years in solo flight, told her to stop apologizing. "You're not a burden, you're a person who needed help. That's different." As days passed in close quarters, they began to actually talk, not just about survival but about lives, dreams, losses. Lyra told him about her research on cosmic radiation, about the beauty of stellar phenomena most people never witnessed, about choosing deep space work because she loved the silence and the science. Alex talked about his sister, the loss that changed how he responded to distress beacons, the grief that transformed into stubborn determination to help when he could, about the freedom of independent hauling, the solitude that was both peaceful and isolating. Lyra began noticing things. How Alex rationed his own food to ensure she had enough, giving her larger portions while claiming he wasn't hungry. How he monitored her condition constantly. How he positioned himself between her and the outer hull during cold cycles, his body blocking the worst temperature drops. "You're sacrificing your comfort for mine," she observed during a conservation cycle, huddled against his warmth. "It's not sacrifice, it's just what you do." "Why, I'm a stranger." "You've diverted your route, spent your fuel, shared your resources." Alex was quiet for a moment. "My sister died alone. Her distress beacon went unanswered for 3 days. When they found her ship, the log showed she'd survived the initial failure. She died waiting for help that never came." His voice was steady but carried old pain. "I can't bring her back, but I can make sure nobody else dies waiting for help I could have given." Lyra's long ears, slowly regaining expressiveness, angled forward with profound respect and sorrow. "I'm sorry for your loss and grateful for your compassion." "Just promise me something," Alex said. "If you're ever in a position to help someone, even when it's inconvenient, help them. That's how we make space a little less cold." To Lyra, who'd spent 6 days alone in the freezing dark expecting to die, it was everything. On day 7, Alex's ship developed a problem, a minor coolant leak requiring immediate attention. Not catastrophic, but serious enough that if left unrepaired, it could cascade into something that stranded them. Alex explained. He needed to shut down engines for several hours to make repairs, which meant no thrust, no power generation beyond minimal battery reserves and, critically, very limited heat. They'd need to conserve power dramatically, relying almost entirely on shared body heat during the repair period. Lyra insisted on helping despite Alex's protests. "You need someone to hold tools, monitor systems." "I'm a scientist. I can follow technical instructions." Alex, recognizing both her capability and her need to contribute, agreed. They worked together in the cold engine compartment, Alex making repairs, Lyra assisting with steady hands despite the temperature. "You'd make a decent engineer," Alex commented. "You'd make a decent research assistant," Lyra responded. "Observation skills are excellent." The repair took 8 hours. By the time they finished, both were exhausted and cold, and the crew quarters temperature had dropped significantly. They huddled together under every thermal blanket, sharing body heat through the long cold hours while engines slowly restarted. In that intimate darkness, Lyra articulated a realization quietly. "I thought the cold would kill me. Back on the solitary Echo, I was so afraid of freezing to death. But what I was really afraid of was dying alone. And you didn't let that happen." Alex's arms tightened around her. "Space is cold and infinite and doesn't care about us. That's why we have to care about each other. Otherwise, what's the point?" "Is that why you stopped?" "I stopped because someone needed help. I stayed because you matter. Every person drifting in the dark matters." Lyra understood then that What Alex gave her wasn't just physical warmth or material resources. He gave her the most human gift possible, the assurance that she mattered to someone, that her life had value, that in the vast cold universe someone chose to care whether she lived or died. On day 8, they reached the station. Medical teams took Lyra for treatment. Alex filed reports and prepared to resume his route, now significantly behind schedule. Before he left, Lyra found him, her long ears angled forward with gratitude and something deeper. "I owe you my life. I can't repay that, but I want you to know I'll remember. Not just that you saved me, but how, with kindness, with patience, with the quiet certainty that I mattered." Alex shrugged, uncomfortable with praise. "Just doing what anyone should do. But not everyone does. You do, and that makes all the difference." They exchanged contact information. Over following months, they stayed in touch, messages exchanged across star systems, sharing updates, small moments that make up existence in space. A year later, when Lyra's research contract ended, she made an unexpected choice. She joined Alex as co-pilot and navigator on the wandering star. Not because she owed him, but because their time in the cold taught her something essential, that the best discoveries aren't always in cosmic phenomena. Sometimes, the most important discovery is finding someone whose warmth isn't just physical but spiritual. They run cargo routes together now, occasionally diverting to answer distress beacons other pilots ignore. They share the small crew quarters not out of necessity but by choice. And every time they pass through that sector where Alex found the drifting solitary echo, Lyra remembers what she learned. That the void is infinite and uncaring, but humanity, human compassion, human connection, human warmth, is the light that makes it bearable. That survival isn't just about temperature and resources, it's about mattering to someone. And that sometimes, the person who saves your life teaches you something more important. In the silence of space, kindness is what separates existence from truly living. Years later, teaching emergency rescue protocols, students ask Lyra why she abandoned prestigious research for cargo hauling. She tells them about freezing alone, about Alex sharing warmth when he had every practical reason not to, about learning that human connection is as essential as oxygen. "He gave me more than heat," she explains, her long ears expressing profound respect. "He gave me hope, the certainty that I wasn't alone, and in the cold of space, that warmth, the warmth of the human heart, is the most powerful force in the universe." And Alex, ever practical, adds with a slight smile, "Plus, she's excellent at navigation, really improved my route efficiency." They laugh together, but underneath is a truth they both know. In the infinite cold of space, what saves us isn't just technology, it's the choice to care, the decision